And we're live. I think we're live. Basically, I am not sure due to the latency and whatnot. Either way, we will be starting another tournament today, which is the High Elf Civil War between a bunch of High Elf factions as a kind of celebration for our 250 subscription mark. Yes, we're pretty much almost at 300 right now, as I was not expected that little growth spurt I have over the past 2 weeks. So thank you very much for everyone for your support. Anyways, today's High Elf Ulthuan Civil War will be happening soon, as we already have gone through the first round. Right now, we're gonna stream the semi-finals, which will be 2 matches of best of ones, and we will be streaming the finals of a best of 3 afterwards. Now, the semi-finalists are pretty much ready. I think they do have a lobby right now. So, wait, where is the lobby? Well, should be this one. Yep, should be this one. And let me just quickly check the now let me just quickly check the password as well. It's pretty far high up in the chat. Okay, so spectate. Anyways, we are in. No armies on the top just yet. I hope nobody, I'm not gonna put a screen blocker on this one, as I hope they will not. These guys are experienced tournament players. I trust them enough not to peek at the screen. Either ways, let me just quickly tell them they're good to go. Anyways, so for a little bit of an introduction to the sub-faction rules, it's similar to the October tournament where we have a bunch of sub-factions with their own unit restrictions. Now, for Kirill, who will be playing Etain, will be needing to put out at least 3,000 gold worth of spears and Lothan Sea God, while Soav playing Yvriz will be able to use at least 3,000 gold worth of Silver Guard, Rangers, and also a bunch of Yvriz only campaign units. And also another special rule that is Yvriz for all High Elf factions, they can only bring one single Dragon Prince unit for each army. So it seems that our opponent, not my opponents, it seems that our participants are ready and they are already going into the battlefield. Now, Yvriz, they can bring a bunch of campaign-only units, so maybe we'll see some Knights of Torgavold going onto the battlefield in their Royal Hippogriffs mounts. Not sure if it's Royal or not, but it's definitely High Elf Hippogriff. And also, there's a bunch of very strong missile units, hybrid missile units in the back pocket of the Yvriz arsenal. We have a bunch of spear and bow infantry. I'm actually not sure what their name are because I don't really play that. And I was playing in the tournament as well as Grace, facing off Kirill, but damn, I've totally forgot that a lot of the High Elf units have a high fire resistance. So in the end, I brought Alastair on a Sun Dragon, and that fire. The fire damage there really got mitigated heavily by all the all those fire resistance on the Phoenix and whatnot, and combined with the physical resistance on the Arcane Phoenix, it just Alistair just got smashed in combat. It's just a terrible ordeal. And in the end, Kirill was able to pull out on top and move on to the next stage. Now, Soav, I haven't played against him in this tournament, but he is a very good player. And right now, he is bringing Yvriz, so it is rather interesting to see whether we'll have any Eltharion action on the battlefield here. It seems that we might be facing a bit of a loading issue. We might have to... Okay. I think my connection should be fine. It's just that not sure whether yeah, the connections even on the studio is fine. So I'm not sure what's happening right now. Either way, we will just wait. Okay, it seems that we're going to reload a bit instead of loading into the 5-minute and break off kind of countdown. Hopefully it wouldn't have the same on the audio and whatnot. Oh hey Aetherian. Expecting some tactless players to blur in Kindle Flame and Talons of Torca later. That's the thing, I don't think it's really efficient to do so because you're only, after all that kind of buffs and whatnot, you're only doing normal damage. Oh god, am I seeing things? We are having the Knights of Torgavold here, yes! We are seeing the glorious Hippogriff action. Is it Hippogriff? I mean, it's called Mistwalker Monstrosity Cavalry. Okay, and we have Silver and Guard, so the 3,000 gold limit is hit, which is nice. Although we are having a little bit of a latency lag or whatnot. So that I was scared shitless for a second, but it seems it's stabilized. And over here we have a whole lot of Lothern Sea God and archers and more spears. So basically a very wide build from Kuriel here, with Silver Helms and more and Dragon Princes on the flanks. Oh, it seems that. Oh boy, it seems that we are already having a little bit of a psychological warfare in the chat right now, as Sorv is announcing that he will be attacking towards the left of Kuriel, and he is actually deploying all the units over there as well. So he is, yeah, that's probably partly because of this awkward little pawn right here, and yeah, like. Yeah. And anyways, basically these, this little obstacle right here would make it very awkward if both armies are deploying on the opposite side. So like say here and here, then they'll have to like circle around and try to match up in the middle. Yep. Oh yeah, Sorv is having a very wise choice here, just trying to shorten the game and avoid any just hit and run, hide and seek and chase around, the whole chasing around issue from occurring. It will be awkward like if they just kind of like circle around the whole middle pawn and spend the whole time moving around. Anyways, it seems Kuriel was checking on my stream to see if I'm running into any technical issues. Everything seems fine. You guys are good to go. Good luck. May Azurian guides your blade. Okay, I'm just throwing in some fancy greetings in here and blessings and whatnot. Either ways, our participants are right now deploying right now with actually white lines of trace in the front line. That should be good against any kind of spearman infantry, which Etain has to deploy a lot of them to fill up that 3,000 gold limit. And at the back we have some spearmen and Silvern Guard as well as a backbone just to provide any rear protection. We also have some flanking cavalry, the Silver Helms, Dragon Princes in the skies. We have the Knights of Torgavold and Eltharion the Grim. Oh, interesting. You don't really see this guy often in multiplayer since he is not exactly the best guy. So, like his being on a Hippogriff, it doesn't have the best tanking abilities or the best damage potential. Oh, it seems that our little battle countdown is started. They will be beginning the battle soon. And now, both players going for a very wide front line. Although Etain was able to have a little bit more numbers here with a lot of missiles, you can see that there's a shit ton of Lothern Sea Gods and archers. If the even with the 90 armor and 30% missile resistance on these white lines, they will probably get shredded by all these arrow fire. Oh hey Jane, the bottom player, well, the red player is Ivris, basically the Warden faction, and the blue player is playing Etain, basically Tyrion's faction. Now, Archmage of Fire leading the army right here, chopping a fireball down at Eltharion the Grim. trying to get some damage done, which is nice. Just taking out all his HP and chipping away, just forcing Ulthuan to use his heals early and whatnot. And it seems that our Ulthuan player here is rotating his army, a wise choice, considering that the forest here will be blocking his line of sight, preventing him from shooting directly into the enemies. And now, with Ulthuan just hot in pursuit, the Archmage is running back. Arcane Conduit here, topping up the magic bar, while the archers who are just sitting back, waiting for his enemies to advance, are now shooting into enemies. Not a lot of action going right now, as it's just a steady, slow advance moment. Although the little missile fire also really start taking a toll on these white lions, chipping away the HP, a nice retreat back there, dodging the missile fire, wasting a bunch of their shots. And now the spearmen pushing forward, trying to screen off the dragon princes. Also using their shields to absorb a lot of the arrow fire, while the cavalry on this side are moving around, trying to get a flanking maneuver here, but the silver helms are ready, just standing aside, ready to countercharge. And you can see here the numbers advantage of the spearmen are just pushing through the gaps of these widely deployed spears, while over here we have the Calvary Engagement charging, dragon princes charging into the silver helms. Definitely a favorable engagement for the massive charge bonus, especially with the Knights of Torgavol charging in here, the silver helms taking massive damage, Ulthuan pushing forward and dropping down right into the Archmage of Fire, pushing her away, while the Knights of Torgavol destroying all these poor silver helms. Over here, some white lines of strays push through the gap again, and the spearmen a little bit slow on Curiel's reaction right there, allowing the white lions to push through, and the front line of the spears are somehow holding thanks to the little burning head, roasting all these silvern gods and white lions. Over here on the right side, the cavalry trade is extremely unfavorable for Curiel here, as a lot of these archers and Loven Sea God are bogged down in melee. The silver helms terrified, while the more silver helms from the red side are flooding in, running down all these archers and Loven Sea God with the help of some white lions. Some archers are firing, but their damage are really limited against the heavily armored dragon princes and the Knights of Torgavol. Hand of Glory actually went down on the Dragon Princes, allowing them to have massive attack, giving them an upper hand against these counter-charging Dragon Princes. These spears has to start flooding into this combat, trying to saturate on top, while at the back we have some white lines of strays with their 33 speed actually catching up, or at least forcing away all these Loven Sea God. Knights of Torgavol taking minimal damage during the engagement with their heavy armor, and now flying around trying to use their armor-piercing weapon strength to hunt down all these Dragon Princes. The archers here are still firing in, trying to get whatever damage they can onto the Knights of Torgavol and maybe the Dragon Princes, but the front line is a bit of a buckling right now, as the silver helms are able to push through the gap let out by the spearmen. Spearmen a little bit slow to react here, unable to block off all these spears, and silver helms just charging in, slamming onto these archers. Knights of Torgavol still having 3 models left. They are just hunting down these Dragon Princes relentlessly. That 300 armor-piercing weapon strength is really good against these heavily armored knights. Now, White Lines of Strays over here on both units are still pressuring the Loven Sea God, forcing away a lot of missile pressure from the blue elf side. Although there are some consolidated Loven Sea God coming back, running away from the pursuing Silvern Guard. Knights of Torgavol still roaming around, this time terrifying away some archers, using that mobility advantage here to really push off all these missiles, but there are just so many missiles on the battlefield here. With 4 archers, 4 Loven Sea Gods, they are just raining down fire whenever they're able to stand and shoot. And the Knights of Torgavol is a little bit running out of steam here. Not that they're out of HP, but they are very tired and now constantly getting countercharged by Silver Helms and Dragon Princes due to that numbers advantage here. They were really being bogged down, and they can only be in so many places at once. They were not able to push off all the missile units, and now some Silvern Guards charging forward, engaging some Loven Sea God who actually went into melee, countering these Silvern Guards, and now providing a nice recharge from the back. The Dragon Prince is able to rout off the Silvern Guard, and now will be going on to the Red Dragon Princes. And now the balance of power actually is still rather in favor of the red high elf side, as they do have a very healthy Eltharion here, while the blue fire archmage seems to be hunted down by Eltharion. So without any magic support, can the blue high elves pull back this battle by hunting down Eltharion and the Knights of Torgavol, who still have 3 models, 1 chevron up already? Let's see how much damage it dealt. Being a free model unit, it does have the advantage of having each model equipping with very high HP pool, allowing them to get constantly healed up and no damage output is lost, even if they take massive damage. Although right now, Eltharion the Grim charging down into some Loven Seaguard, now countercharged by the Dragon Princes, a very dangerous maneuver, as they are very well be able to pin down Eltharion in this kind of melee combat, preventing him from flying up. But with the Knights of Torgavol flooding in yet again, the Dragon Princes are pushed off due to all the armor-piercing threat from the Knights of Torgavol. Eltharion there being very nice with the magic use, constantly dumping Apotheosis onto the Knights of Torgavol, providing them with the healing, while the White Lions of Thrace are just constantly running around the battlefield. Like, they literally went all the way around, circling around, and now back over here, just to pressure this one unit of Loven Seaguard. And with Knights of Torgavol coming in for a head-on charge, the White Lions of Thrace are able to follow up, and now the Loven Seaguards are in quite a bit of a trouble here, as a lot of units are flung onto the ground, now slowly getting up, but a lot of White Lions were able to caught up and cut down all these knocked over units. Dragon Prince is still charging around, but they are actually working down Eltharion effectively, as the Spearmen following up, saturating on top of Eltharion. With the Dragon Princess pinning him down, he was unable to extract himself from all these missile fire focus and also anti-large damage from the spears. Eltharion in a pretty huge pickle right now. But still, the balance of power is even more against the favor of the blue high elves, as Eltharion is still still fighting, and Knights of Torgavol still running around, almost reaching the healing cap, still have half a bar of HP, but definitely the healing cap is in sight. And yeah, we have the White Lions just keep chasing on these Loven Seaguard, silencing them, preventing them from firing. Dragon Princes trying to countercharge and pin in Eltharion, and this time actually forcing their way through all these large monsters, charging into the rears of the White Lions, trying to break them off before they can do too much damage here. But a nice Hand of Glory, buffing the White Lions attack all the way up to 60. They will be slicing and dicing these poor spearmen. And with most of the missile units either silenced or ran out of ammo, there is not really much the blue high elves can do to pull this back. Actually, no, I'm concluding way too early here. The White Lions are now breaking. Once they break, they will isolate Eltharion again, and even without the Dragon Princes, they're still able to pin down any large monsters with the help of the Silver Helms. But right now, they're charging into the White Lions, trying to stop these White Lions from chasing the archers. But this also put the Silver Helms into a very dangerous situation, as they're now being focused down by all these armor-piercing entities. The White Lions, the Knights of Torgavol, they're smashing apart these Silver Helm units, and the fear and terror on the Knights of Torgavol was able to rout off the Silver Helms. And with that, they don't have anything to pin down all these monsters here. They have to somehow grind through all this with a melee fight, but I don't see how they can do it, with Eltharion still probably have one more Apotheosis in the pocket, while the Knights of Torgavol just constantly floating around the battlefield. Let's see, 2,000 gold right here. Remember, they cost 2,600 in the whole game, so this is not exactly returning their own value, but it's just that the White Lions are so nice in pressuring all these missile units. They do not necessarily have to do the damage. They just have to stop these missile units from firing, buying time for everything else on the red high elf side to kill off the blue high elf units. And now, yeah, the White Lions are now finally dishing out the pain onto the poor archers here, who are no match in melee combat against these elites of the high elves. And also, despite the single entities and these multi-entities are still cycle charging, since the White Lions are still engaged in melee combat, the attacking role is fulfilled. Now these spears just standing there, eating a charge from Eltharion the Grim, but unable to do too much counter damage, as now the White Lions are flooding in, threatening to hack them into pieces. Some more spearmen are returning, and also some Lothern Sea Gods are also coming back, trying to get some missile damage done. But honestly, despite the really tattered Eltharion, there's not much the Blue High Elves can do, as they ran out of all the missile damage. Army losses is already mounting, and Soav will be taking the win with the Knights of Torgavol and Eltharion the Grim. GG. GG to both players. Now, let's see the army performances. Okay. Let's see the army performances for the units here. The spears, they were able to hold the front line for a bit, but a little bit slow on the counter charge from Curiel at some points, allowing some of the White Lions and spears to slip through the gap and threaten the back lines. A lot of missile damage was present in this build. Holy shit, 1,500 gold worth of damage. But yeah, that really put a heavy toll on all these Yvris units. Lothern Sea God, they're not able to do... Okay, never mind. I was saying they were not able to do too much damage, but then 1,400 damage value on this one single Lothern Sea God. The damage potential of these missile units are definitely great, especially against some large-size entities that are easy to hit. Now, the Silver Helms mostly there to countercharge enemy cavalry and monsters. They actually did the job. 1,500 gold on this one, and 1,400 gold on the Dragon Princes as well. A lot of damage is dealt to the Yvris build. However, the Knights of Torgavol here, all the entity models managed to survive here due to the lack of burst damage from this Curiel's High Elf build. So what happened is they took damage, but they just healed it back up. And in the end, although a lot of units were able to do a lot of significant damage, it's just not enough to pull down the DPS of these Knights of Torgavol, allowing these Knights and Eltharion to fly around and hunt down all these poor cavalry of the High Elves. As for the Soav's White Lions army, we have the White Lions of Thrace doing pretty decent. This one getting 1,000 value. They were mostly there to deal the damage in the late game, hack through all the spears, and using their 33 speed to actually manage to pressure a lot of the Lothern Sea God off their position, pushing them all the way around the map, preventing them from dishing out the missile damage. And as a result, a lot of these Lothern Sea God were unable to dish out too much damage against their opponents. Now, the Dragon Princes was able to do some pretty good work. Same for the Silver Helms. They're using that mobility advantage with the Knights of Torgavol and Eltharion there to just hunt down all these heavily armored Silver Helms. Now, that's basically it for the... Actually, wait, we haven't talked about Silver Guard. The Silver Guard not doing much here. Mostly there to fill up the 3,000 gold Yvris unit limit. And yeah, so they just kind of got smashed apart, as there is not a lot of units that they're good against. Maybe the Silver Helms and Dragon Princes, but other than that, not much. Now, it seems that my... Oh, crap. Okay, it seems that it seems that my game has crashed. Hold up a sec. Let me just relaunch the game. I'll just give you guys a nice screen blocker to watch for now, as I slowly turn back on the game. So bear with me for a second. Eltharion should have brought Tyrion. Yeah, that's probably the case, as Tyrion should be able to do a lot of these Knights of Torgavol and Eltharion, doing a lot of nice high armor piercing damage with as a powerful single entity, and the Fire Mage wasn't able to do too much here. Probably because of the okay, let me just quickly open up the game and check if yep, we should be back. Yep. Anyways, yeah, it seems that let's see, OBS is picking up the game again. I hope that you guys are seeing it right now. As unfortunately, that little technical hiccup right there was a bit of an issue, just going crashing and whatnot. But thanks for the thanks for the wait. Let me just have a quick look at the chat. Let's see, or at least a Metal Mage. A Metal Mage actually would do very well against the Knights of Torgavol and Eltharion, given that they are, they do have low model counts in their units. And let's see, a Tempest would be good as well. The lack of Tempest definitely very limited the damage on the blue high elves for quite a bit, honestly. Now, give me a sec for the second game as our semi-finalists Phoenix King and Aetherian has already played in the combat. So we'll just be watching the replay. Right now, let me just quickly copy and paste that replay into the replays file and set up the replay. So, the Phoenix King here playing Nagaraithi and bringing a very skirmishy army. So that means they have to bring at least 3,000 gold worth of Shadow Warriors, Shadow Walkers, Ilarian Reavers, Reaver Archers. These 4 units will be topping up the special unit restriction. While Ilaria will be forced to bring Dryads, Treekin, Treemen, and Sisters of Avalon as a very typical combination of the Everqueen, a very Everlorn build. Now let us go into the replay and see what happens. I have no idea who won this game, but given the name, it's kind of a spoiler. Anyways, let us look at the little army builds for both sides. Phoenix King here going for yet another skirmish build with full cav and 1 Shadow Warriors. Wait, is this the... Okay, it didn't hit the 6 360 arc firing limit. Let us pause a bit so that we can appreciate all these nice army builds. Now they can only bring 1 Dragon Prince in their army, so we only have 1 Tuxedo Princes over here, and we also have some Silver Helms at the back, Silver Helms with shields, Ilarian Reavers. This is crazy, just full on micro intensive cavalry build. Ilarian Reaver Archers covering some Shadow Walkers, the not the campaign exclusive, the faction exclusive unit of Ivris with poison, melee attack, and missile strength. Also for the leadership, we have Hand of the Shadow Crown, the campaign exclusive unit of Nagaraithi, providing a lot of armor-piercing missile fire, accompanying Aliv Anar. Now, for the well, we have more missile pressure actually with Eagle Clawbolt Thrower, as well as... Wait, where is the mage? I think I saw a Metal Mage somewhere. Yep, right here with Plague of Rust and Final Transmutation, using that Plague of Rust debuff to lower the armor of any possible huge tree units like this treeman right here. With 110 armor, if their armor got lowered, the Shadow Walkers and the Ilarian Reavers will be able to do much more damage against them. In the front line, we also have the Dryads, basically a bunch of tree units at the back. We have some Shadow Warriors bring their own poison against the Nagaraithi faction. Now, if I remember correctly, 550 on 4 of these units, so that's over 2,000 plus definitely over 1,000 on Treemen. That's 3,000 gold worth of tree units, definitely fulfilling the unit restriction. On the flank, we also have some Ilarian Reaver Archers going for some forest skirmishing trade in the woods. We also have more Ilarian Reavers hidden over here, but this time the melee variant hidden in the tree line. They shall be providing a nice ambush flanking force should they need the little flanking maneuver. Now let me just hydrate a bit as I prepare for the start of this battle. Excuse me for a sec, just want to make sure I don't start coughing and having a raspy throat in the middle of the combat. Wait, where is the... Oh, leadership is back here. I totally forgot about to look at that. We have the Silver Helms here accompanying Asterial the Radiant as expected. She is just such a good lord with all her protective buffs, Shield of Saphri, the Shieldstone of Isha, Shield of Thorns here as well. Really going all in on the physical resistance. Stacking right there would be nice, especially if you top that up on some Dryads here or the Treemen, who both have the 20% physical resistance. But is that enough to win them the game? I'm not sure. Also bring in, of course, Star of Avalon and Earthblood for those healing. And the Noble here bring in that missile resistance aura, protecting everyone around him from all the missile fire possibly brought by Nagarai fleet. Now, the missile resistance bit is pretty decent against Alarian Reavers and whatnot. And yeah, that's basically it for the army builds. Let's just quickly check if the that's 700. I'm definitely missing some units here. Wait, what? Guys, I might have to pause the stream for a sec. Phoenix King, you sure you brought 3,000 gold worth of units? I think I mentioned Hand of Shadow Crown does not. Oh wait, no, they have the melee reavers. Never mind. They have the melee reavers, so 550, 1,001. That's 1,500, and yeah, my math just went crazy at one point. Never mind. Everything's in the within the restrictions, and we should be good to go. With a lot of Ilarian Reavers and Shadow Walkers filling up the unit limit. Actually, over here we already have some skirmish battles starting already, as the Ilarian Reaver archers pushing forward, discovering each other in the forest here, eating a volley, but a lot of that actually got blocked by some trees and only eaten by a couple models. So not the best of trade here. While over here we have some Eagle Claw Bolt Throws pressuring all these Dryads with the blasting scatter shot and just smashing apart these Dryads, pressuring them, while the rest of the cavalry just surging forward, trying to get some nice cycle charging done. But the Shadow Warriors with their missile fire deterred that Silver Helms from coming in, and they really don't need to be rushing at this point, since they do have the artillery advantage here. The Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers will be getting some nice damage. 3 damage, if anything, on these Shadow Warriors. Although some Ilarian Reavers flew too close to the sun and ate a bunch of Shadow Warriors' arrow shots. Now in the forest, there's actually a melee engagement between a bunch of Reavers there, Reavers on Reavers. However, it seems that the Nagarai fleet Reavers are not exactly having the best engagement right now, as they are taking quite some damage without any healing coming in from their friendlies. Remember, they did brought the Metal Mage only, so no healing on their side. While over here, we have Alif Anah and the Hand of the Shadow Crown slowly sniping out Asterial the Radiant here, who really doesn't have anything to deal with all these sniping forces. We have the Alarian Reavers going into a weird formation there, eating a bunch of arrows. And now the Dragon Princes and Silver Helms are pushing forward for the cycle charges. In the forest, some Ilarian Reavers, the red Ilarian Reavers, are getting smashed apart by all these countercharging Silver Helms, and the Treemen being pushed away by all these Reaver Archers. Over here, Ilarian Reavers getting pushed away by the Noble as well. This is definitely a fast-paced battle, as there's so much happening on right now. Phoenix King here surging forward with all the Silver Helms, trying to get some cycle charging down on the rather glass cannon Dryad units, while he's retreating all his skirmishy units, including Shadow Walkers, who are getting chased down by all these Silver Helms with shields. Dryads, all of them are surging forward, but they're actually getting broken apart on the formations there, as some of them are getting pinned down by Dryads. Some Dragon Princes are driving forward on the right flank, trying to push away all these Shadow Warriors, while the rest of the skirmish forces of Phoenix King here just pulling backwards, using their missile fire to slowly drag down all these unit models from Aetherian. One Ilarian Reaver Archer, Reavers, the melee variant, is detached to charge down the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, but also expose themselves to a counter charge from the Silver Helms. Although more Ilarian Reavers are coming in from this way, although one shot from the Hand of Shadowground just took out 3 models on that one poor unit. So things are looking rather finicky for Phoenix King right now, as all these Ilarian Reaver archers are all the skirmishing forces are getting broken off by the Avalon forces, and only leaving the Hand of Shadow Crown and Aliv Anah as the damage dealers on the battlefield, and both of them only having less than half ammo left. Also, we do have the Mage of Metal here, possibly dropping a final transmutation on both Reaver units, sucking the life out of these cavalry units. But unfortunately, this is not going to save them whatsoever, as the Dryads are flooding in, chomping down all these Silver Helms, while Aliv Anah and the Hands of the Shadow Crown are dragged into melee combat, unable to start shooting yet again. So they probably should have just saved that Overcast final transmutation in this blob, as the single entities Alario and the Noble are here, and also they are not exactly winning this combat. Unfortunately, the Hand of the Shadow Crown and the Aliv Anah are mostly skirmishing units, and in melee combat they would just get taken apart by all these Dryads, but some tactical reserve Ilarian Reaver units hidden in this forest is finally remembered and activated, charging in, saving Aliv Anah and the Shadow Crown, providing a nice... Dragon Princes charging out from the forest, also just sandwiching all these Dryads as well, using their massive charge bonus to beat down all these nearby lowly armored Ilarian Reavers and also the Dryads. Although Asterial, if she actually can get closer to this combat, will provide that Shieldstone of Isha, providing a nice 10% damage resistance, physical resistance on these units to let them tank a little bit longer. But really, the Dragon Prince unit charging out forward, just really smashing all these Dryads, not terrifying them, but definitely routing them from combat, allowing Hand of the Shadow Crown and Aliv Anah to survive a little longer. And now they're coming in again for a cycle charge, as Aliv Anah, the Metal Mage, and some more Ilarian Reavers are still stuck in combat. They will be cycle charging, hammering into this huge blob, breaking away every bit of resistance, although the treatment is coming in right now and counter slapping them in the face. We have Alario the Radiant here, dropping down finally a Star of Avalon, topping up all the health of these dying units, and an Earthblood earlier to just keep all these units nicely healed up. Not sure how the Nagaraifi forces can take down the Treeman and Alario at this point, as the Dragon Princes and the heroic units of the army is being rather tattered right now. The Hand of the Shadow Crown is running away, trying to get some distance between himself and all these Avalon units. We also have Aliv Anah being chased down, run down by the Noble here. And poor little Skirmisher, just unable to do anything as he is on foot and getting chased down. Well, the Hand of the Shadow Crown just missed a shot, or maybe he's going into the reverse over here, but either way, there's no saving for Aliv Anah. The rest of the mobility desperately trying to run down all the green Avalon units, but it's just looking so grim at this point. More units on the battlefield are basically breaking for the red high elf side. Aliv Anah still getting rolled over, pushed away. And now even the Hand of the Shadow Crown is getting caught by Alario in melee combat. So let us fast forward there as the army losses is hit for the red high elves there. Nagaraifi being pushed by the rush forces of the Dryads. And the Everqueen will be claiming superior in this combat. Now let's go into the post-battle screen here while we message the finalists here and let them prepare for the final match, the final best of 3. And just give me a minute here to message the finalists here. So Yep, okay. So the message is sent. They will be, I hope they will be promptly setting up their whole battle room. And right now we have both armies here. Let's look at the army performances. The noble on the chariot able to run down all these skirmishers. The Hand of the Shadow Crown and Ulthuan definitely no match in melee against the noble on chariot. Asterial the Radiant, mostly there to provide the healing, the physical resistance, just to top up all the health of the units, and also Shield of Thorns, providing the physical resistance against all the tank, like against all the silver helms and charge damage. There's not much armor piercing in this build, so that will be very effective to limit the damage from all these units. Now for the skirmishers, Shadow Warriors bring their own poison against the Nagarithi army. They were actually mostly there to distract the Dragon Princes. Yes, the Dragon Princes were able to run down the Shadow Warriors with the help from some Silver Helms, but they were dragged away all the way from the fight, unable to support the melee engagements, and allowing the more powerful melee units of Avalon to win in melee combat. And after that, directly pushing for the backlines and threatening all these Shadow Walkers, the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, also just killing all these Elarian Reavers in melee combat. Like, they are pretty squishy, so if they got engaged against some Dryads, they will get smashed down. Over here, the Silver Helms. The Elarian Reavers, the melee variant didn't do too much damage here, as the mobility advantage was on the Nagarithi side, but the Silver Helms being able to heal and provide excuse me, and receive physical resistance support from Asterial allows them to perform much better than expected. And also, these Elarian Reaver Archers, a skirmishing unit that can also double in melee combat, run down a lot of the skirmishers and chase off some Elarian Reavers. One of the Reavers, if I remember correctly, also charged into the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers and killing off the artillery. So really nice combination of units overall. The healing and physical resistance buffs from Asterial is just so powerful. I also did a video about it earlier, and yeah, that is one aspect that makes the High Elf, that makes Asterial so powerful, is her ability to buff. Now for Nagarithi, we have the Elarian Reavers. They were able to do some damage, but not a lot, as when they charge into Dryads, they would just get dragged down by the fierce attacks of these forest spirits. Silver Helms did a little bit better, but unfortunately, in the face of Tree Men and just Dryads and healing, they were not able to do too much. Dragon Princes did much better, 2 chevrons and whatnot, but honestly, they spent too much time hunting down the Shadow Warriors, and in the late game, they were no match for the Tree Men. The armor-piercing weapon strength is just too much for these guys. And without a staying power, an infantry force to anchor the opponent's rush army, Ulthuan and the Hand of the Shadow Crown were not able to dish out too much damage here. Actually, the Hand of the Shadow Crown got 2,000 gold value, but Ulthuan not so much. They need some kind of infantry to buy themselves time to do some counter skirmishing and snipe down the Tree Men, probably. Elarian Reaver Archers got engaged into melee combat prematurely and overwhelmed by some of the melee units, so not much to be said there. And Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers getting rushed down by the Elarian Reavers, so in the end, not too much value either. Now let's go into the lobby and check out the Ulthuan Civil War from the finalists of the game. No doubt the finalists are engaging into unit picking, but I'm not sure what's the password, so I'm just gonna have to wait for Aetherian to reply. Or maybe I'll just have to search for some older password on the channel. I am not sure. Give me a sec here. Or, just let me... Well, that works, I suppose. I guess that works. Never mind. I don't need him to tell me the password. I just got in, I suppose. Anyways, Aetherian versus Soav. Aetherian bringing Ivris. And Soav bringing Avalon. Actually, no. Now let me just remind him of the best of 3 rules, as it is a little bit different from the best of 1. Excuse me. Okay, so it seems that our opponents here are playing the default matchup in here. So I guess they will be playing as Ivris from Soav and Aetherian with Avalon. And okay, it seems that, well, they have loaded an army, already designed a whole army specifically to counter certain enemies. And you can see here the cost of the units are filling up the numbers, the 3,000 limit. Pretty nice stuff. Also, definitely like adopting the Nagarathi doctrine here, going all skirmish. So a lot of Shadow Warriors. And Soav, I have no idea what he's picking. I really wish you can switch between armies. Yeah, like as a spectator, I can look at both sides of the combat and see what kind of army pickings they're going through and whatnot. So let us wait for the opponents here to pick their own armies and ready up. Now both players are pretty experienced in tournament, so I assume that they are familiar with tournament rules and army builds pickings as well. And also, I hope they're not watching the stream right now, as I do not have the green blocker on, and it's a little bit too late for me to put it up right now. Oh, let's just wait for the both opponents to slowly pick their armies and just tell them what they're gonna happen afterwards. Seems that okay, we will be waiting patiently. And yeah, just a reminder for those of you who just joined the stream, we have Soav playing Ivris, who will be needing to bring 3,000 gold worth of Ivris units, including Silvern Gods, Rangers, and also Ivris campaign specialties, including those hybrid missile units and also the Knights of Torgavol. Of course, they do have a limit on the Ivris campaign special that they can bring. They can't bring more than 3,500 gold worth of those campaign units, and they must bring, they can only bring 1 Knight of Torgavol, as they are considered a single entity monster who costs more than 1,800 gold. Of course, they do have 3 models in a single unit, but the thing is, they are just so powerful with 2,600 gold worth of value on the single unit. I feel like it's safer to just put them on the more restrictive side, preventing any abuse from happening. Say, if you bring 2 Knights of Torgavol, it would be a massively powerful force of entities that you can't simply kill in a few hits. Like, their DPS will continue to be like in full shape when 100% DPS, as long as all 3 models are alive. And killing 1 model among the whole unit is just extremely difficult. So to just make sure nobody abuses the whole thing, we're just gonna limit that to 1 unit only. and also like preventing them from stacking more single entities into the army, so such that there are like Knights of Torgavol plus a 2-star dragons. Well, I mean 1-star dragon and an arcane phoenix. That's gonna be a very powerful aerial strike force. So let's not have that happening. And instead, the maximum they can go is, say, 1 flying giant monsters and also, let me think, 1 Knight of Torgavol. Seems that they're taking quite some time. Okay, that's not. That's the wrong. That. Now for the Avalon side, they have to bring again 3,000 gold worth of their own faction specials. We have the Sisters of Avalon, the Dryads, the Treekin, and the Treemen. And yeah, it seems that both participants are ready. Now let's get the battle started. Yeah, let's just get the battle started. Excuse me, let me just shift around in my seat and make myself more comfortable for the final best of 3 showdown here with Suave facing off Aetherian. Now we have the like after the Fast and Furious, as Aetherian put it in the Discord, Fast and Furious match afterwards, I do wonder what kind of build this whole matchup is gonna be. Like last matchup, we both have some very rushy builds, with the Cavalry Rush from Phoenix King with the Nagarithi build, and also we also have the Infantry Rush build with the Dryads from Aetherian. Now, what kind of build they will present, that's going to be a huge question. Of course, we did see Aetherian's build previously, but I totally forgot about what that is, so I'll have to check it out again right here in the army deployment section. Yeah, thanks to my goldfish memory, I did not spoil myself with the army builds. Now, okay. A more static build, actually. A Sword Master in the fray, Illyrian Reavers in the front. We have some Spearmen also protecting the flanks of double Sisters of Avalon. We have a Treekin front line providing support to a Treeman as well. A lot of mass to block in these Knights of Torgavol. Again, basically same build. Knights of Torgavol, 1 Silvern Guard, topping up the 3,000 gold limit, as the Knights of Torgavol does cost 2,600. And then we also have Silver Helms, White Lions, a bunch of Spears, and Illyrian Reavers, Dragon Princes, more silver, and wait. I don't think I see double Dragon Princes in the previous game with Soap, right? But you shouldn't. Okay, basically. Let me just quickly explain the tournament rules. Okay, cool. It seems that the issue is resolved. We only have 1 Dragon Prince this time. Yep. There's only 1 Dragon Prince in the previous game, and as they Soaf spend more on White Lions. Anyways, yeah. So. Dragon Princes, like, I limited Dragon Princes in this matchup as Dragon Princes does have that 70% fire resistance. Basically, it nullifies the use of all dragons. And being heavy cavalry is just good against all high elves. I don't want, like, another participant in the tournament reminded me that the possibility of just Dragon Princess spams. So chances are, if I don't limit it, chances are we'll just only see a huge brawl of Dragon Princes. So yes, we are only limiting Dragon Princes to only 1 unit per army. I totally don't know how to PM, so this will do. Yeah, I totally forgot how to PM, so I think I remembered once before. Oh. That was easy. Okay. I should have done a little bit more exploration first before replying, but time is of the essence here. Let's wait for Suave to pick his army and work out a different replacement with Dragon Princes. And yeah, we'll be waiting. Yeah, I just found out. Oh, that was embarrassing. I could have just clicked. Yeah, and I wouldn't be replying, exposing my ignorance here, but I have to do that. So at times. Anyways, so like Dragon Princes, since it's not an expensive single entity, you can actually bring like 3 units of these guys. Let me just check the tournament rules on the fruit rules. Actually, not tournament rules, but the end ladder fruit rules. Watermelon edition. I mean, it's called fruit rules. So, I forgot that. I can't really recall the limit. Yeah, you can bring 3 Dragon Princes for tournament according to the fruit rules. So if we allow Dragon Princes to go over 1 unit, we'll just see 3 Dragon Princes occupying like what 4,000 gold on each army, and that's just gonna ruin the whole thing, as both armies will be extremely similar, with centered around a core of Dragon Princes. And yeah, this not exactly the best showcasing of High Elf Civil War with different styles of combat. So let's just limit that Dragon Prince count. So yeah, and we'll be rolling with only 1 Dragon Prince. Now we'll be waiting for a bit for both players to load in. It is an online lobby with 3 people loading into a single lobby, so it does take a longer time. Okay, we see the armies here and they should be good to go. Very similar army to the one we saw earlier. So basically, excuse me, Silvern Guards accompanied by a bunch of spears, white lines of trays, and lion chariots. Well, he did tell me he's gonna bring lion chariots. So Silver Helms, Dragon Princes, Eltharion the Grim on. I almost thought he's on foot, but okay, he's on a horse, and Knights of Torgaville. So if he doesn't mention it, I thought he would have been going for a goddamn Trace army. While we have a tree army here with a bunch of Sisters of Avalon, protected by some spears and Alarian Reavers. Now, on both flanks, we have the Treekin to block off any flanking charges in case there are some Dragon Princes coming in. The Knights of Torgaval will be a huge issue here, but we do have the Treemen and... Yep. And let me just go for a quick... Okay. Go for a quick blessing chant and pretend I am High Elf. Anyways, Archmage of High, not Asterial. Interesting here. Coming in with Soul Quench? No, not Soul Quench. Tempest. Okay, expecting that Knights of Torgaval to come in. Okay, good call. I really like this. As a High Elf, I really like Archmage of High, or basically the lore of High. It's a very versatile lore with damage dealing capacity, control, aerial control in the form of Tempest, limiting the flying abilities, the flying armies of the opponents here. Okay, we have some Alarian Reavers in here, just hidden in the sneaky ambush. But yeah, back to Tempest. It limits a lot of the flying capacity of armies, say like the Vampire Counts, Lizardman. I just bring Tempest whenever I bring Lore of High, basically, and have a possibility of fighting aerial battles. Over here, the blue Alarian Reaver seems to have a better charge on the red Reavers, but with the Lion Chariots coming in for support, they will be able to rout off these blue Reavers with fear. The Ever Queen's Court Guard, the Regiment of Renown, Sisters of Avalon, is unleashing all these armor-piercing missile fire, shredding this white line of trace. Not even the 30% damage resistance can be useful to these white lions. A Tempest, probably overcast version of it, is dropped onto the Knights, and now they are slowed down minus 60% speed, and now oh god, the Sisters of Avalon just focus fire on these guys. They need to start focusing down them as fast as possible and maybe take out a unit, but it seems that that's not going to be the case here, as the damage is very evenly spread among all three units, so they probably will get healed up. Now the Knights of Torgaval charging into the Sisters of Avalon, although there are 2 units of Sisters of Avalon, so the second unit is still firing. Now Aetherian going in for that heal, but now the Knights of Torgaval is trapped in combat against a lot of treemen. More treemen are coming in. The Heavy Knights are rushing in, ramming into all these Sisters and pushing away all these Reavers, as they know the Reavers will be no match for the Heavy Knights. And now they are just smashing apart all these, using that huge charge damage to dumpster all these Ever Queen's Court Guard. Although the Ever Queen's Court Guard seems to be holding up rather okay and quickly running out of this engagement. 3 men here coming in with the massive body here. Oh, it's not hitting the Knights of Torgaval. Instead, it's just retreating. While Sisters of Avalon pull out from combat, probably trying to aim down the Knights of Torgaval yet again. Another Tempest going down. This is not good for the Knights of Torgaval, as another torrent of fire goes in, but with the Noble straying a little bit too close, allowing the Knights of Torgaval to dive in and avoid the worst of that magic damage. At the back, the Alarian Reavers combined with some spears broke off some of the cavalry of the Alarian Reavers of the Red High Elves. And now gonna come in for round 2, trying to countercharge these Dragon Princes, or actually going for these Knights of Torgaval, trying to pin them down on the floor before they can go back up in the skies. But one model is actually getting away here. Actually, no, stuck on the Reavers. At the far flank, some white lines are getting routed off by the Thought Masters and now getting charged by Alarian Reavers. They should be able to hold up okay and hack down these Reavers. Back down to the middle of the fight is a whole hot mess of stuff right now. Just a slugfest with Spearmen saturating on top of some very healthy Dragon Princes. And Silverhelms pinning down all these Treemen and Noble, allowing the Dragon Princes to retreat. One model is left on this Knights of Torgaval, really doing a good job sniping out this aerial Hippogriff Knights unit. And yeah, despite that, the Sisters of Avalon are pretty much routed off right now. There's not much around to focus down the, honestly not much down, to focus down the Dragon's Princes at this point, other than the Treemen. But they do need to provide enough healing so that the Treemen can actually tank out all this damage from the Slugfest. Swordmasters going into the fight, hacking and slashing their way through all the Silvern Guard, but the White Lions are coming in for a rear charge. That's gonna put a dent in the health of the Swordmasters, who almost losing their martial prowess, martial mastery. The melee defense of these guys will be dropping soon, although they seem to be just wrecking all these White Lions instead. And the Treekin and Treemen, the massive monster core of the Avalon army, is holding really well against all this infantry. The grind is what they're born for. They just kind of acting as an unbreakable anchor here, holding their own against all these anti-large armor-piercing units. Despite all these unfavorable circumstances, they are holding, along with the support of the Noble. The High Mage is still running around trying to drop some spells. No doubt they were healing. Yep, Apotheosis on this Treeman, allowing him to do a little bit more damage as he will be sustained a little longer. Over here, Hand of Glory on the Silvern Guard. The anti-large damage would definitely come in handy as they are hitting much more consistently, up to 54 melee attack. They should be able to, do pretty decent damage against the Treekin. Balance of power is edging towards the favor of the red High Elves here, as the Swordmaster is being cleaned up by all these charges from the Dragon Princes. Up to 2 chevrons, 135 gold right now, 135 kills right now. It's such a powerful unit. As you can see, if there are 2 Dragon Princes in a single army, it would have been a massive disaster for the Avalon army here. With the heavy armor just punching straight through all these even the heaviest armored elfin units, the lightweight of the elf infantry really puts them into a disadvantage here, as they will get easily knocked back flying by all these heavy cavalry. And plus, Dragon Princes just really good against any kind of elf build, basically. Like, I bring those against anything, honestly, like say Wood Elves. That's one of my favorite units to bring against the Wood Elves, as they do have the physical resistance and shields to block off any missiles, and with the massive healing and physical resistance buffs provided by Asterial, also the magic aura, the magic damage imbuing the Dragon Princes with magic damage, they'll be really useful against the ethereal stag knights of the Wood Elves. And now with the, basically it's cleanup action right now, as the infantry are slowly getting picked apart by all the Dragon Princes and mobility. Now the White Lions are cutting through some spears. In the middle, finally, the Treekin buckled against all these armor, not armor piercing, but armored spearmen with anti-large. More Apotheosis are going down onto the Treemen, but it actually needs to get into the Dragon Princes here to really hammer all these heavy cavalry, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case, as you'll be engaging Eltharion the Grim in a hand-to-hand combat. That will allow the Treemen being surrounded by all these spears, and you can see the army losses is almost there, as the Treemen unit is slowly but surely approaching the edge of breaking, being cycle charged in the rear, and also getting surrounded by, slowly grind down by anti-large infantry. That's not gonna, end up too well for these guys. The Noble being sniped out by Eltharion right now, along with the support with some Dragon Princes, finish off the Noble. One of the most crucial anti-large armor-piercing source of damage is gone, and only leaving the Mage of High running around. Now, recently there's a discussion on the Anticities community Discord, arguing whether cycle charging while only a single entity is engaged in melee combat is allowed, and it seems that the verdict is that they will allow that. They will allow cycle charging as long as there are any entities engaging in melee combat. So the High Elf Mage running around avoiding combat is within the rules, just to be clear. And It seems that Suave will be taking the first game, with the Dragon Princess doing a lot of heavy lifting. 2,700 damage here, just running down all these Ever Queen's Court Guard, the Sisters of Avalon, using their massive charge bonus to run down all these Illyrian Reavers, Sword Masters. Just nothing can really stop these heavily armored Knights of Calador. Now, Knights of Torgaville being specifically focused by all the Tempers and armor-piercing missile fire, Ever Queen's Court Guard, Sisters of Avalon, they just got sniped out early, but still, that doesn't really matter. Despite all the damage they dealt, the Dragon Princes were able to carry the day. Also, the Lion Chariots also helping out with killing all these poor Elfin infantry. The White Lions didn't do too much here, as they were actually fighting some superior melee combatants. And yeah, that's basically it here. With the Noble did some pretty decent damage, but not enough to carry the game either. So yeah, that's basically it. Treeman, not actually surprisingly poor performance, only 1,200 damage. Unable to catch the Dragon Princes with his slow speed is definitely one weakness of the Treeman. Now let's go back into the lobby. Oh right, that is true. Atharian mentioned that Silvern Guard has magic resistance, allowing them to mitigate a lot of damage from the Treeman and Treekin, who does do magic damage. And the Treekin, not being armor piercing themselves, will have a lot of damage absorbed by the heavy armor of the Silvern Guard. Now let's wait for a bit for Suave to pick instead, as I'm just gonna hydrate myself, making sure my throat doesn't dry out and die in the next match. Oh damn, I just realized this stream actually clashed with the Teach Me Total War with, well, Total War and from Creative Assembly and other streamers as well. Well, so be it. I should have checked better, but before scheduling, but I did schedule for this stream for a few weeks ahead, so not a few weeks, but at least a couple weeks ahead, so be it, I suppose. Anyway, Suave seems to be... Okay, it seems that they are switching turns. Suave picking Avalon, I suppose. Pretty juicy. Some pretty juicy action right here. And Aetherian going for Ivris. Oh wait, no. Suave hasn't decided yet. He might be going for Nagarathi. Let's see what happens. And we wait. Oh, no. Suave is still picking, obviously. Now, for Knights of Calador, the the minimum requirement for the unit selection is a minimum of 3,000 gold of dragons, phoenixes, and dragon princes. And also cavalry, so silver helms counts too, but honestly, if you're bringing dragons, then dragon princes, like, it's not exactly a difficult issue to fill up that 3,000 gold, since dragons are so damn expensive anyways, and, well, high elf units are just expensive in general. Okay, Avalon. So we are having a little bit of a switch on both sides here. How the turntables, as Aetherian picking Ivris, while Suave is picking Avalon. Interesting. Is Aetherian going for that revenge battle, or is it just gonna be Suave showcasing the superior skills by smashing Aetherian? Let's see if Aetherian can have his revenge. Although we have to wait a bit for the army selection to go through, as obviously both armies are not ready just yet. Both players obviously have more thought into their own initial faction than the other factions here. Best of Threes thus forces them to think different with a more unfamiliar build. Being forced to pick this time their opponent's faction. Also, they need to switch. Yep, Galbaras. Cool. I totally forgot to check their map, but Aetherian is totally on top of it, being an experienced player. He is able to switch around. Yeah, he's like, I still have some stuff that I have to remember when hosting this tournament. I totally forgot to start the tournament on the challenge page, but thankfully Soav reminded me, so I did exactly that, and now they can report scores and whatnot. And Aetherian here on top of the map switching game here. Not switching the map before even I realized it, so. And we shall be waiting. I do wonder what kind of units that Aetherian might be going for, because like, if you're playing, say, Ivris, then it's kind of boring to see Knights of Targovo every time, but it seems that they're going for the missile units. Oh, this is interesting. Like, the missile units over in the Ivris campaign roster, it's interesting in the fact that there are some armor-piercing, super long range of 210 range missiles providing armor-piercing fire, but the drawback is they have a really slow reload time, 20 seconds. I'm not sure how good they are against Avalon here, but if they can get the armor-piercing missiles onto something, say, Treeman Treekin, that might be able to do some pretty heavy weightlifting. Now the thing is, what kind of build might Soav bring to counter this? Like, of course, right now, he does have to bring a lot of those trees, or else he'll have to bring 3 Sisters of Avalon, which is not exactly the optimal thing you want to do against an Ivris army, especially given that they're Silvern Guards with heavy armor, shielded silver shields, and of course the magic resistance mitigating, absorbing a lot of firepower from the Sisters of Avalon. So they probably will be bringing a lot of trees, but also again, trees does magic damage too. Of course, Aetherian isn't bringing Silvern Guard this time, but the possibility is there. So that's going to be an issue. And we'll see. Now, Soav is definitely taking his time to slowly pick his army, as always. A lot of players tend to just have a pre-saved army before going into the tournament for every matchup. So this speeds up army picking a lot faster, but I personally like to have I personally like picking army on the spot. Like, it makes it forces you to think a little bit different. Like, it forces you to think about the matchup itself. Of course, it's less reliable and whatnot, but it also, sometimes you just kind of pick certain units on a whim, and maybe it will perform surprisingly well. Like, it will perform surprisingly well, carrying you the game, and catching you and your opponent by surprise. Like, things happen. So like, I do like the unpredictability of each matchup sometimes. So I'm not a person to have preset army builds usually, unless I'm testing the army build. Now that is a situation I call for certain presets, like say I load in a physical resistant Dragon Prince build. I have the whole army core readied up. I just need to fix a few things and then they're good to go for combat. But yeah, right now, it seems that Soav just picked a unit on the spot, and we'll see what kind of armies they would be bringing. Now we wait for the loading time, as it's taking ages to load in as always. Like, the servers isn't the greatest, but it's, I mean, the connection, not servers, but like the connection usually really depends on the players. Like, and then I think I'm also streaming, which puts extra stress onto the internet. Like, it seems to be fine so far, the internet, as we are loading it. Yep, we loaded it in the, like, we loaded in the UI, which is a good sign. Armies are loaded, and we should be good to go. Good. A very similar army to the one we had before, but this time with a little bit more staying power in the melee department. Okay, 1,900 on the Treekin, so yeah, because they all cost 950. And then the Sisters of Avalon costing, I forgot how much, but 1,200 or something like that. It definitely costs above 1,000, so that should be fine. So yeah, that should be fine. Let me just quickly look it up. Excuse me for a sec. Yeah, they cost 1,100, so it's fine. That's just hitting 3,000 gold. And now we have a bunch of, on this side, actually let's finish up the Avalon build first. We have White Lance of Trace, we have a bunch of Illyrian Reavers and Silver Helms. Dragon Princes on one flank as well. Of course, Ilario the Radiant leading the army as always, Noble. And yeah, that's basically it, with some sturdier front line in the form of White Lions. Now for the blue Yvrit side, we have White Lions, 3 of them with spears, and then we have the Sentinels of Astral, Asterial. This is exactly the unit I talked about, with armor piercing, shield breaking missiles, and also a super long reload time, 20 seconds. Holy crap. So it can do a lot of damage, but it takes super long. Now, if they actually put Hand of Glory onto... Nope, no Hand of Glory here. Just an Archmage of Light leading the army, so no more reloading buffs. Now, that's gonna be a bit finicky. Now, Spire Guard of Toyris, providing a lot of firepower as well. 45 ammo versus 22 of the Sisters of Avalon. They stockpiles. Literally, unusually high amount of ammunition. How long they can fire is really the key to how much damage they can take, they can do. They really need to keep these units alive because they need a super long time to dish out the damage. This is gonna be a rather finicky affair, as the front line probably won't hold for too long against 3 White Lions, and with so much mobility rushing in. Dragon Princes and Silver Helms here, protecting their flanks with the support of a Flame Spy Phoenix and Mage of Death. Interesting. Is that Fear of Buna, or no? That's just yep, that's aspect of Dread Knight providing magic damage and Fear and Terror. Also, Spirit Leech would be nice if they can drop it on top of some Treekin, but that's just gonna get healed up, so that's gonna be finicky. We have all the missiles firing in, but not exactly dishing out the most damage here. Oh wait, whoa. Something's dying. Yep, Spirit Leech. I think Spirit Leeching combined with the missile fire. Okay, that's quite a bit of Dead Dragon Princes from a few volleys of stuff. Not sure what. And oh god, look at all these Silver Helms and Dragon Princes just dying to all these missile units. And of course the Sisters of Avalon trying to shoot at the White Lions, but the Sentinels of Astariel and more Sentinels of Astariel are able to counterfire pretty heavily against these Sisters of Avalon. And now the Sisters of Avalon are getting killed. Over here, Dragon Princess chasing away some Illyrian Reavers. Not exactly a worthy trade here, as they're really being pushed away. More missile. Just look at the Silver Helms getting shredded by all these Spire Gods. And the Sentinels, like here in the front, we have the White Lions and Spears just holding back the tide of infantry of the Avalon, and allowing all these infantry, these missile hybrid infantry, to dish out the pain, while the Dragon Princes over here getting shot apart by the missile units, and also now with the with the Flamespire Phoenix and Silverhelms blocking them for a sec, now pulling them away from the Star of Avalon, denying them from the heal, which is a really good maneuver. Over here, Ilarian Reavers got caught by Dragon Princes and getting chased away, so they really need to start pulling back the Dragon Princes over here. Oh, interesting. Aspect of the Dread Knight onto the Sentinels of Asterial, providing magic damage onto their missiles, ignoring the physical resistance on these Dragon Princes. Like, over here, we have 20% Dragon Princes physical resistance, and they are denied from that due to the magic damage for a while from these Sentinels. So that AP damage is really dishing out the pain on the Dragon Princes. Really nice combination of units and magic right there, pushing the balance of power in the favor of Ivris. At the back, we have the Archmage of Light diving down and finishing off the Sisters of Avalon. Over here, we have a little bit of a buff with fast protection, buffing up the tankiness of all the units over here, providing more staying power, but the Dragon Princes are actually terrified from the presence of the Flamespire Phoenix, and now routing, being shot apart by all these Spire Guard of Toy Ivris. They are taking quite some damage, and the Spire Guards still have like most of the damage despite firing for quite a while throughout the still have most of the ammo despite firing quite a while throughout the whole combat. Now the Dragon Princes are slowly dragged down. Some regrouped Ilarian Reavers charge into the rear, slamming into these Spire Guards, but they do have anti-large attacks. The spears will help them against all these large cavalry units. Another fast Earthblood right now, just topping up all the health of these units, allowing them to basically top up in health, and this gives the Avalon units a little bit more of an advantage here in terms of melee grind, as the White Lions and the Treekin are smashing apart all these resistance from the missile units. But over here, the White Lions, the Rat White Lions are getting into a really bad scenario here, as the Flamespire Phoenix is diving down, hunting down and terrifying all these White Lions of Trace, isolating the Treekin, as also the Spearman is terrified. And with the Treekin going down, these missile units will be able to be secured and allow them to dish out some counterfire and really put down the pain on these White Lions and Treekin. Now some spears are sacrificed to block off the Noble and Alario, and also delay the White Lions, allowing them more time to finish off the Treekin here. While the Dragon Prince is still full health, almost, and routed off only an Ilarian Reaver. They are still rather fresh and active right now. The Vigor loss is minimal, and they are basically fighting in perfect condition. While the White Lions here and the Treekin are exhausted or very tired, the Vigor loss is going to be a huge problem at this point. While the Dragon Princes, not going through much combat, will be able to fight with maximum power. Treekin here being focused down by the armor-piercing missiles from the Sentinels. They will be focused down swiftly by all the axes. You know what trees are afraid of? Axes, of course. So, being hacked down like the tree as they are, they will be routed. And now freeing up the Flamespire Phoenix as well as the White Lions to engage the Red White Lions and Treekin. Dragon Princes charging down, while the White Lions are pinned in by the nice net, preventing them from chasing after the White Lions, and now allow not the White Lions, but the Dragon Princes, allowing the Dragon Princes and everything else in here to just extract themselves from combat, giving time for these missile units to regroup and start dishing out the pain in these stationary troops. Buying time for the Spire Guards to start expanding that stockpile of ammo. Still have 29 ammo in the whole thing. So, yeah. Just slowly whittling down the Treekin and White Lions with the Torrent of Fire. And that's basically... yeah, that's basically what they're gonna do. Just sit back and start shooting while the Avalon Blob is forming, with a lot of healing going down on the White Lions and the Treekin here, using their physical resistance and missile resistance to tank out the damage from all these missiles. But is that going to be enough? I really doubt it. They actually lost all their mobility here. No more Sisters of Avalon as well. So, in the end, these Tor Ivris campaign units will just be forming a huge circle around this little blob of Avalon troops and just crossfire them to death, while the Dragon Princes can really freely countercharge and put down the pain on the poor infantry of the White Lions. And now with Alaro surrounded, not even the healing can really save this noble at this point. With the Archmage diving down, routing the noble, and Soav will be throwing in the towel as Aetherian gets his revenge. Hey Vadim Sukopov, what round is this? Oh, we're in the final round now. Finalists are just duking it out in the best of 3. This is the second game of the best of 3, so one more game, and we need one more game to decide the true winner of the High Elves here. So, for a little bit of a quick army analysis, Sentinels of Asterial, 1,798 damage. The armor-piercing damage is so insane on the Treekin and White Lions. It just puts a huge pain. Also on the Dragon Princes as well. This one also 1,100 damage. Remember, they only cost 750. Oh boy. Like, they are a really powerful unit if used well, and this time it's definitely a case that Aetherian used it well, with all the units able to fend off all the mobile assault, and Soav not putting enough emphasis on the melee rush. So in the end, he wasn't able to get into the backlines to shut down these insanely cost-efficient missile units, allowing them to fire, and that was a huge mistake. 900 on this one, 1,100 gold on this one. The Spire Guard also doing a lot of damage here, able to stand their ground and shoot down a lot of that key units from Soav's Avalon build. I would say that a better build is probably going to be a bunch of Rangers start swarming the backlines and threaten these missile units, but that is going to be another day, another time. The Phoenix here not doing a lot of damage, actually, surprisingly, and the Archmage of Light and the Mage of Death also not really the damage dealers. It's just mostly the missile units really heavy lifting the whole army, carrying the army to victory with their cost-efficient missiles. Now, the White Lions did really good against the trees. Well, trees does go... Oh, actually, no. These are White Lions helping the trees, so, like, they did do okay against some of the engagement, but overall, the missile pressure is just too much and overloaded all these sisters, overloaded the Dragon Princes definitely with the armor piercing, and also shot down the Treekin. A really nice use of campaign exclusive unit, and frick. Yeah, so basically Butterfingers. I need to sorry for my typo here. Okay. So, Soav seems to be picking... Soav seems to be taking Nagaraifi, or maybe he's just studying Nagaraifi. Or, ooh. Are we seeing Tackless finally in this match? Really? Maybe? Or Imrik? That's gonna be an interesting question. And I have no idea. Let's see what happens here. As now for Safri, in case if Soav choose Safri, they need to bring Phoenixes, Sword Masters, and Great Eagles. That amounts to 3,000 gold. Now, that's gonna be interesting, as I don't know what kind of build. Oh wait. That's gonna be interesting, as in, like, we don't really see that much Phoenix action throughout the whole game today. And Sword Masters, they showed up once, but they lost the battle as they were countercharged hard by the Dragon Princes. So I don't really know how effective a Safari build will be, especially with Tackless. Like, a Safari build would put a lot of emphasis on fire damage, but can they really dish out the pain on the Dragon Princes with the 70% fire resistance? I have no idea. Maybe they'll need to search for something else to fight the Dragon Princes, but this time let's see what Suave will be picking, as we still do not have a definite answer to the build just yet. He's definitely taking his sweet time. Okay, it seems like the verdict is down. Calador. Yes, we're seeing the dragons. We might be seeing dragons or at least a cavalry heavy build. I mean, it's been cavalry heavy all the time, but dragons though, it's not there just yet. It's not there just yet. So, are we seeing Imrig as well? That's also a question that we need to ask. Since Imrig is not exactly the most popular legendary lord as we know it, especially if you pick him on foot, but I personally do enjoy picking Imrig on foot with a bunch of War Lions. The Dragon Horn comes in really handy to give that damage boost for the crappy stats of the War Lions. Now, Aetherian seems to be going for Nagarithi, I think, or Trace. That's a question. Like, if he's going for Nagarithi, then he'll be picking Nagarithi's faction for sure to get that faction only units. But honestly, I don't think Nagarithi is a good pick for here, as a heavy cavalry rush would. Whoa. Okay, I thought a heavy cavalry rush would be very threatening to all these. Okay, so back to the heavy cavalry issue. The heavy cavalry will just run over all the foot skirmishers, and I don't think it's a good choice. Actually, let me just bend the rules a bit. Okay, cool. So let's just work out the rules a bit and bend it a bit. Honestly, I don't like this. This little tournament here is not really. Okay, dragons are really OP. Just bring 2 dragon princes. Yep, Aetherian recognizes the OPness of campaign dragons. So cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, honestly, this is just not really a tournament with any stakes, just really something to have fun with everyone. And as long as, honestly, the tournament players are fine with it, I don't see the harm on bending some rules here. Allowing some more dragon princes, or just having some campaign dragons. This will spice things up a bit. Okay, let's just make sure they don't go way too over the top on this one. Okay, let me have a quick check. Yep, single entity monsters with more than 1,800 cost. You can only bring 2 in normal tournaments anyway, so let us not have too much of that crazy stuff happening right now. Shadow Walkers, let's see, the unit cap for Shadow Walkers is 4, I think. Let me just open it up. Yep, 4, so it's fine. Although, okay, 6, yep, 6 360 arc firing units, that's fine. And yeah, this should be a fine army. And it's a very heavy skirmish army with a lot of Shadow Walkers. A very rarely seen unit on the battlefield, actually. The poison is no doubt powerful, also poison melee attacks as well, but you generally just don't see people bring it, because it negates the use of Avalon. You can't use Asterial the Radiant in this kind of build, as you need to pick the Nagarithi subfaction, so it takes away one of the most powerful lord in the High Elf roster. And it's kind of... And honestly, as a trade-off, it's not worth it, because you have the next best thing, which is Shadow Warriors. So why sacrifice the healing? Right? But this time, Aetherian is going into Nagarithi, so there's no such concern at all with the subfaction limiting the use of legendary lords anyways. So 4 Shadow Walkers and Heralds of the Wind, actually the fastest ground unit in the whole game, with 110 speed. It will be able to stay ahead of everything else from soft side. But the thing is, can the dragons... This is gonna be so funny, as Aetherian said. Yeah, it's gonna be so funny. Like, I have no idea what to expect in this kind of battle. You don't see these matchups anytime in normal quick battles, tournaments, and whatnot. Only in these kind of themed battles that you can bring some random ass armies like this and decided to have some fun with it. And so I do wonder what kind of dragon will he brings. And that is going to be interesting. Anyways, this is going to be the final battle. Let's just have some fun, as Aetherian said, and just go all ham on this one. Holy crap, he's going all ham on the rush and kite build. Yeah, basically on the kitey side, with everything into mobility, a barebone infantry line, staunch line of spear. The damage dealers would be the Shadow Walkers. Yeah, this is gonna be the final battle. Let's see what happens here as we go into the battlefield. Now let's wait for a bit. Like, it's gonna be taking some time for the whole army to load again, as usual, as per usual. Like, it's just happens all the time. Don't worry about it too much, I suppose. Either ways, it should be able to load in at eventually. And yeah, now, okay, let's think about the matchups here. We have the dragons, campaign dragons. Okay, let's see what dragons here for Imric. We have Imric. Oh, okay, no dragons. Interesting. Just double dragon princes. Wait, what? Okay, and silver helms. Okay, so for the Knights of Caledor, they have to bring 3,000 gold of they have to bring 3,000 gold of dragon princes, silver helms, and 3 dragons. Doesn't count the lord. So we have 2 dragon princes here, 2,800 gold plus the silver helm. So that's definitely within the boundaries of definitely above the 3,000 minimum. And on the Nagarithi side, we have 4 of these Shadow Walkers, each costing 1,100. So 4,000 gold worth of skirmishers, also counting into the also well above the 3,000 gold minimum. And yeah, there's just a very kitey army with the Illyrian Reavers and Silver Helms providing that counter charge to support and protect all the skirmishers. Also, we have a wild hand of the Shadow Crown here sitting in the trees, possibly just hidden, should be able to do some good sniping damage against all these heavy cavalry. Let's see what happens. As the infantry for the Calador side, it's very narrow. Only 2 war lions and a spearman. Not gonna do too much here. Like, they will not be able to push. They won't be able to put too much pressure onto the skirmishing infantry here. So the Shadow Walkers would be able to have a good time to fire as long as these cavalry are kept at bay. But if the cavalry are charging into the Shadow Walkers, then they will take some massive damage. Okay, so we already have the Hand of Shadow Crown as the battle begins, just unleashing the salvos of fire into the Illyrian Reavers, taking down 3 models at a time. And that's quite a bit of damage. And now the Shadow Walkers are just shredding all these Illyrian Reaver archers. They do have some really good poison damage here. Just weakening the Illyrian Reavers, the counterfire would be rather limited in terms of damage due to the poison debuff. And even if they try to charge in if they put the Shadow Walkers on skirmish mode or just start running back into metal, they would just kite the Illyrian Reavers to death. And with the 180 range, very long range, just basically outrange all these skirmishing archers, they should be able to do some really good damage. Even the Dragon Princes are taking some heavy toll from something, I'm not sure what, but definitely, probably the Shadow Warriors as they flew too close to the sun. Now, the Mage of Metal coming in with Final Transmutation and let's see, that's Plague of Rust. So if they can actually get the Plague of Rust onto the Dragon Princes, the massive armor debuff will just expose them to a huge damage boost of the Shadow Walkers. They would literally just get burst down in no time if the Shadow Walkers can shoot into the unarmored Dragon Princes thanks to the Plague of Rust, but it's not going down just yet as the Dragon Princes are still kind of far away and can just easily pull out. Instead, these Silver Helms are getting debuffed by the Plague of Rust and will be... Wait, nothing's shooting in here yet, so definitely a micro mistake as they are still shooting into the Illyrian Reaver archers. But now with the counter charge from the Silver Helms, oh, and also the finally switching the missile target, the Silver Helms are just dying to all these missile damage here. Dragon Princes charging in from the other side, but with two Illyrian Reaver, with an Illyrian Reavers and the Silver Helms charging into a single unit, they will be able to pin down the Dragon Princes. And now we're getting a little bit of lag here. Oh, it's fine now. Stabilizing. It's all good. Give me a little heart attack. A little bit slower than usual due to probably internet latency, but either way, the battle is still going on and our players are still going. Shadow Walkers pulling back here through this little gap, trying to get some more area to... trying to get more space to start sniping and skirmishing. Some Silver Spearmen trying to block off these Dragon Princes, but they already charged into the Shadow Walkers, so that's not exactly a good thing for the Shadow Walkers. Of course, the crossfire from all these other Shadow Walkers and even the Hand of Shadow Crown getting into melee combat is chipping away the health of the Dragon Princes pretty heavily. Now the Dragon Horn is finally sounded and giving a massive damage boost to everything on the Calador side. We have the Silver Helms blocking off the charge of an Illyrian Reaver unit, trying to pin them down, preventing them from getting into the Shadow Walkers, allowing the Shadow Walkers to dish out more damage. Illyrian Reaver Archers, oh my god, that's just a painful volley. 3 units smashing into one single unit and it just gets shredded. The Mage of Metal dropped down to the ground and got hit by a strawberry milkshake breath attack, and now she really has to start running, otherwise she'll just get lost to the charge of Imric. But thankfully Eagles are fast, so they're just going all the way back and should be able to flank around and circle around, kite Imric away. But Imric wisely decided not to do that and just dive down into the combat, trying to use his fear and terror to rout off all these Shadow Walkers. Especially they're so close to the red line, they will just get routed straight away if they if they even start moving slightly towards the white line. Just like these Silver Helms getting routed, terrified, they will be routed off the battlefield. very soon. Although the Shadow Walkers are actually getting secured in as the Silver Helms are getting sacrificed in melee combat, they're now pulling back away from the huge mass over here and are just shooting in the fray, chipping away the health of all these units. Even the Life Mage is getting dragged down rather quickly, as the Shadow Walkers does have poison attack and 40 melee attack, so they're no slouch in melee combat at all. Actually, they're better than I imagined. They can actually go into melee combat and shred through some infantry. So now they're actually using the poison, debuffing the Dragon Princes, allowing all these Illyrian Reavers and whatnot to charge in and drag down the heavy cavalry, heavy shock cav of Kalador. Although the balance of power is not in favor of Nagarathi at all, due to all these expanded ammo on the Shadow Walkers. They won't be able to hang around for too long. They still have a huge disadvantage due to Imrik being so healthy. They need to start finishing him off somehow. Maybe if the Hand of the Shadow Crown can get more shots into Imrik, that might be possible. Okay, nice transmutation. Final transmutation in here. Just sucking the life out of all these units in this blob. But is that going to be enough? We will see. The Hand of the Shadow Crown and the Shadow Walkers are now just running away from this White Lions of Trace. The White Lions, buffed up by Dragonhorn, is a scary force to deal with, so they are not going to engage that in melee combat. Just quickly runs away, trying to dish out as much damage as possible with all these missile units. But Imrik diving down yet again as a dragon, putting a huge beating on this poor little Hand of the Shadow Crown. Not Alario, sorry. I saw an eagle and I thought Alario, but no. The Archmage dives down, try to give a recharge to Imrik, but unfortunately she's no match for the Prince of Kalador. And with that, the Archmage of Metal is routed, and Aetherian will be... I think he surrendered from the battle. I don't think that's an army losses. Anyways, Suave will be taking the win and ruling Ulthuan once and for all. He is the one true ruler, the one true Phoenix King of the 10 Kingdoms. But yeah, now let's go into the army performances. The Shadow Walkers didn't do too much kills, but they did do some solid damage. They do have really good weapon strength, not weapon strength, but missile strength, so their damage really taking a toll on these Dragon Princes and also Illyrian Reavers. But the thing is, Imrik wasn't really focused throughout the whole game, so he was really healthy and just diving around, terrorizing all these cavalry and spears, and in the end, the Hand of Shadow Crown and Archmage, they both lack the ability to carry the game on their backs, like the Chad Prince of Kalador. Like, they can slowly turn the tide of battle, but by providing buffs and chip damage and steady damage and whatnot. But they cannot just pull the weight of half an army and solo another half an army by themselves. Like, they need something else to help them work. And in the case of Hand of Shadow Crown, I suppose it's infantry units or cavalry to bog down enemy key targets, so the Hand of Shadow Crown can slowly work down their opponents. And of course, Archmage, they can't just solo an army by themselves, but in contrast, Imrik on his Star Dragon, he totally can, especially with the support of the Mage of Life. So in the end, despite all the damage dealing capacity of the Shadow Walkers, the Dragon Princes being tattered and whatnot is not exactly the greatest loss to the whole Imrik's army. Instead, Imrik just soloing a bunch of armies, terrifying them away, allowing the Illyrian Reavers and also the Dragon Princes to chase off these routing units. The White Lions of Trace and Spear just slowly and steadily push forward, squeezing the maneuvering space for the Shadow Walkers, and in the end, basically just doing massive losses to dealing massive damage to all these units and pull out ahead in the game. Anyways, GG to both players. GG to both players and also everyone else who have participated in this tournament. Really, appreciate you guys joining the tournament and showcasing such amazing combat to everyone. And this shall be marking the end of my streak of high elf content. I might produce a short with one of my high elf replays, but that's just a short, like a minute or so, like less than a minute, so that doesn't really count. And I'll be moving on to regular battle replays after this one. And let's just move out of this private conversation on Dragon's opinions and quickly wrap up this stream. I would just like to thank you all for, of course, supporting my channel. We hit the 250 mark, I think, around last week, yes, in the middle of last week. And now we're rapidly approaching 300. Big thanks to everyone who have been watching my content and, of course, subscribing and supporting, commenting, sending in your amazing replays and joining in my tournaments. Like, I won't be able, like, my channel won't be as successful. It wouldn't even be half as successful as it is right now without your support, and I'm really grateful for it. And I've got more amazing content planned for you guys, and I'll just keep churning them out in the future. Right now, I will be returning back to some regular content, battle replays, and also an army build I did promise a viewer I would do, the Engine of the Gods for the Lizardmen there. So I'll be working on that build and some replays that other players have sent in. And after that, I'll see when I will start working on other replays and whatnot. But for now, let us just wrap up the stream right here. And I'll see you in the next one. Also, I did post a different video and earlier today, so if you're interested, feel free to check it out. It's just a bunch of White Lions that I think it's a pretty terrible unit in general, but I decided try to see if I can make them better by slapping a bunch of gold on it and give it, like, say what, 3 gold chevrons, and they did turn out pretty decent so far. And yeah, let me think what else. Oh right, I'm also getting into Age of Empires 4, starting to learn the game, so maybe I'll start doing some streams on that game when I take a break from Warhammer. Like, I'm still a massive noob on this game, on Age of Empires, as I've never played any of the previous titles before, and I'm really excited to learn this RTS. Like, it looks really good, and it does. Like, the factions there also look really dynamic and different. And it's just looked like a really interesting game to learn and play. So I might do some streams on Age of Empires, just as an occasional sprinkle of content other than Warhammer. But most certainly, I'm still gonna be focusing down on Total War Warhammer. But I think it's nice to add some variety before the third game comes out, as we will be in kind of a content limbo right now. Like, there's not much else going to be coming out other than the Nurgle and Slaanesh trailer. So for now, there's not going to be anything new for Game 2. And it's important that I think to have a break from the game every now and then to prevent burnout. Like, I want to keep playing this game, so I don't want to get burned out by it and just not pick it up again. So breaks are important. Anyways, that's gonna be it for tonight. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Untitled Chapter signing out. Let me just quickly end the live. Thank you for coming, guys.